Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Nusaibah Al-Jaloudi. Nusaibah is the founder and CEO of Pi Pharma Intelligence, which is a company that provides pre-marketing insights into drug research, development, regulatory approvals, patents, manufacturing, and market access to pharmaceutical companies. What an amazing space you work in. And I think about all of the focus on pharma over the pandemic period. I don't think I ever would have known so many pharma companies if it wasn't for that. But clearly, moving health forward and pharmaceuticals forward is a timely issue for sure. And so I'm excited to go through that with you, Nusaibah. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about your background and your career.
So I'm an industrial engineer. I worked in the healthcare sector first. I joined the hospital. Then I switched to the pharmaceutical. I spent there around 11 years in one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the Middle East. There where I got the knowledge and the know-how and understand the problem that I am addressing today, which is the data in the pharmaceutical sector.
That's cool. And it's an interesting space. And, everyone talks about us having treasure troves of data, but trying to figure out that data and trying to find intelligence in that data is key. So, Nusaibah, you are a founder. So tell me the founder story here of Pi Pharma Intelligence.
Great. So yeah, the data is actually it's the new mine. It's the new gold. You cannot imagine what you can do with it. And it can address one of the major issue in the pharmaceutical sector. When it comes to the pharmaceutical sector, the investment is the most critical because the development of the drugs need a lot of time. So you need to keep updated during the development to really have a lot of, like, let's say, gate of go or no go about your investment, or otherwise you might lose a lot of chunk of your money in that pipeline of the drugs that you are developing. So we found out that the data, and when you look at the trends on the data and updates, it's very essential to really take such kind of critical questions. And it's not about only just the data, how you can really exploit this data and the constraint of the data. Because first, the most important thing, how to get the data. And there where we started in the MENA region, because it has a lot of, it's one language, but different laws. So a lot of different publication. So we started by the data mining. Then you have the data. So how to make it resonating well with the decision making. So you need to do, like, let's say, the beauty of the data, transformation, visualization, and all that stuff to really enable the decision maker to take decisions with high confidence.
Right. So you work in the Middle East and North Africa and working in the pharma space. Tell me a little bit more in detail of the type of work that Pi Pharma Intelligence focuses on.
Okay, great. So we focus on the pre-marketing activities, especially the data and information that the companies they require before they launch their product. After the launch, there is a life cycle, but during the research and development and the pre-launch, there's a life cycle. It might take 7 years of the development of the drug. Everybody now, it kicked them during the pandemic. They understand the drug is not like in a one-day shot. It might require 1 or 2, 3 years with accelerated work and the effort that the researchers are doing. So what we try to do in the Middle East and North Africa is to highlight in this domain of the research and development, who are the key active players, what kind of new emerging trends in the Middle East, where is the companies right now are investing, and the direction of the future for the pharmaceutical sector. Because if you have this information, you're going to visualize what's the future of the pharmaceutical in the next 7 years when everybody starts to launch their products. So here's where it becomes important for the Pi to address actually how the market is going to look like. And whenever you address that, you increase the transparency with the data, and thus you increase the investment and the impact of the investment on the region.
So it's really interesting to understand how pharmaceuticals and the region are developing. I remember years and years ago working with a pharma company out of Egypt, and I know that there's actually a lot of work that happens across the region. But I mean, when you talk to your customers today, what's the top of mind for them in terms of the areas that they are focusing their efforts on?
So now everybody's focusing actually to catch up with the new trends and understand what's the constraint to catch up with the new trends, like the biological drugs and the gene therapy. But at the same time, the most focus of the industry today in the Middle East and North Africa is the treatment to the cancer, so the oncology. Most of the questions that we are asked and to really mine the data there is about the oncology. What are the constraints? Who's actively their player? I think it's very emerging because as a concept, because it also emerged from the developing region. So everybody start to address the well-being in more robust way. From the government, you can also see in the Middle East, there's a lot of initiatives happening by different governments in the Gulf region, in Egypt, in the Levant area. So everybody tried to really address how to increase the life expectancy, but at the same time, also address the challenges like the cancer treatment, and the new technology like the biologic and the gene therapy.
Right. That's great. I mean, clearly, cancer is never great, but I mean, certainly that the area of focus and trying to improve that and come up with better systems, processes, drugs is going to be key. Now, Nusaibah, I remember when we started, you talked a lot about your background working at hospitals and as an engineer. And now here you are running a pharmaceutical research company, intelligence company. Tell me, how did you end up with this as your passion? And what's your story there?
Yeah, working with the hospital, it just kicked me out there. The importance of the pharmaceutical sector in the healthcare. Some people they have this kind of image that the pharmaceutical are, this the monsters, but actually they are playing a very key role in the market of addressing a new drug treatments and everything. So it hit me to switch the career and they start to work in the business development and specifically in the project management for the pipeline of the research and development for Tabuk Pharmaceutical back then, where they aggressively invest a lot of money in their pipeline. And actually, during my work, also I had to do like a kind of leave to study in Germany, where I study in the innovation management and international production management. And there it kicked me actually how to start to address the problem. So starting by my own problem, which is we called it the embedded user problem. So I start to address my key problem. So what's my key problem with my pipeline that I'm managing at that company is that I need a lot of update to really inform my management that what they need to do in their portfolio to either stop investing or resume investing, accelerating the investing. So I start to address my main problem. It was getting the data. If I don't get the right data, it might lead to a lot of losses to the company.
Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, getting good data really, it is the gold and the, as you said, from the mine up front. I mean, if you can't get the data right, then any of the stuff that you would do with artificial intelligence to analyze the information is essentially useless. But, when you look out across the region of the Middle East and North Africa, are there differences that you see in the different markets that are noticeable when it comes to really the pharma space?
Yeah, I think looking at the Middle East and North Africa, it's emerging. So everybody now want to make a story, but there is no governing institution like we see, in the European Union side. Yes, and also in the United States, the federal government the rule. So there is a good initiative happening, but it's at local small scale. So it's causing a new challenge for the pharmaceutical sector when it comes to address the new pain. So the Middle East is still evolving, emerging, but what I expect today that the Middle East is with like any kind of country that is emerged, so they will try to understand now the essence of harmonization, and having like let's say a kind of more of mutual laws to really enable the investment more when it comes to the pharmaceutical sector. But Middle East is still a challenging for the pharmaceutical sector to really address. It's also is still impacted by the history of it. So you will see the North Africa, it's a French oriented. Levant is also French laws, some of it French laws oriented, while you will find also the British-oriented laws. And this kind of things is really impacting the investment when you want to think regional, like in
Yeah.
Europe, to enable and make the market big for huge investments.
And I imagine it impacts the data that you get back as
Exactly.
well. And there must be quite a bit of risk for errors to happen.
Yes.
So how do you manage for that? How do you lower the risk of data errors?
Good question. When it now comes about the technology and the data, what we do is try to maximize the amount of the reference of the data. We just not only rely on the local data that we are obtaining from that country or that country. We try to map the like building a profiling for each drug and for each company, and we start to do the cross-referencing of the data. If that data makes sense in, for instance, in Oman, does it sound similar in Jordan? To try to build a more confidence. And also we use the international data like from Europe and the United States and Japan and China to really complete the image and this missing dots in the data to really increase the confidence in our data and the information that we are providing eventually as an end result to the clients.
Yeah, no, I see that now. So you essentially map and mirror. So to see if it stays consistent, and then if there's anomalies in the data, it would be clearly highlighted that this is a strong anomaly. And so either that's wrong or there's a real fundamental difference in that
100%.
information.
Yeah, 100.
Excellent.
And actually, like it's important this rule, and there where we invest hard. So if you look today at our organization, we have most of the resources are focusing on that area where actually is not the problem now with the mining the data. We got that solution, we got that technology, how we collect the data. But today we are investing hard to make sure that data of the quality is very high by doing the mapping and the cross-referencing.
That's great. That's great. Well, Nusaibah, I mean, we're living through interesting times in our world. We're now at the end of 2023, moving into 2024 here. Certainly, there's a tremendous amount of growth happening across the MENA region in general. I mean, we read about all these incredible developments in Saudi Arabia, and it really seems
Yep.
like we're talking about science fiction sometimes with everything that's happening. But
Yeah.
when you look out into next year, what are the plans for Pi Pharma Intelligence, and what do you see in the market?
That's a good question. What I see in the market, as you highlighted, Saudi Arabia today is the driver in the MENA region and is the biggest pharmaceutical market in the MENA region. Also, I was honored to be part of the Vision 2030, one of the people who work with BWC team. And I see it is now like the result are start to be seen. So one of the things that we are focusing is really close the gap a bit with our client. Most of our clients in the Saudi Arabia. So we, from organization perspective, we are thinking how to build our entity there as well and get close to our customer and really understand more about the next problems that they have. So we started to address by the technology. And if we look at the next year as well, what I wish for also to see, again, the Middle East, it's still is being unstable by the event. As you mentioned, we are at the end of the 2020-30, but there's casualties and the problems in the Middle East. So we hope that it's gonna reach to a solution very soon, because it will impact as well the confidence to the investors and how they want to invest in the Middle East. And our industry, it's really rely on the investments happening. So we hope that this is gonna have a positive impact eventually and good results. And also we wish peace for everybody in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging moment. And certainly, I think all of the larger trends that we have seen for the last couple of years are so promising for the Middle East. You know, really seeing kind of accelerated growth, accelerated modernization, accelerated adaptation of new techniques, and things like what you're working on, really kind of bursting new areas like the pharmaceutical sector. So very, very exciting stuff in general. Nusaibah, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and the Pi Pharma Intelligence team are working on, where's the best place to reach you?
I would say LinkedIn. Catch me up there. I'm very active. Also, you can reach me out on Twitter, but I would prefer LinkedIn. I like to spend good time there to connect with people, to see their updates and the new trends there.
Excellent. Well, there you have it. Nusaibah, thank you so much for being on the Uncaged show today. We've been speaking with Nusaibah Al-Jaloudi. He is the founder and CEO of Pi Pharma Intelligence, which is a company that provides pre-marketing insights into drug research, development, regulatory approvals, patents, manufacturing, and market access to pharmaceutical companies, really focused in the Middle East and North Africa region. And we've been talking today about some of the elements that are unique to that region, where you have challenges not really getting the data, but actually sourcing it, going through it, and making sure that it's consistent and reliable to be utilized. But also a lot of the things that I'd say bridge on an international scale. So how you can pull together information that's happening around the world to support the efforts of pharma companies in the Middle East. Nusaibah, again, thank you so much for being on the show, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Bert, and hopefully we see each other very soon.
Cheers.